Your sister's here begging for money again, Vanessa announced loudly to the entire Thanksgiving table, her voice cutting through conversations like a rusty blade through silk. I hadn't asked for anything. I simply reached for my wallet to show my niece photos of her new cousin, but the way everyone's head swiveled toward me suggested the damage was already done. The irony was so thick I could have carved it alongside the turkey. Every fork they lifted, every bite they took, every light that kept their dining room bright had been paid for by the beggar sitting at their table. Get a real job like your brother, she sneered, her acrylic nails tapping against her wine glass, the Waterford crystal I'd gifted them last Christmas. Stop mooching. I closed my wallet slowly, deliberately, feeling my phone vibrate in my pocket. Without looking, I knew it was Martin, my accountant, following up on our earlier conversation about my monthly expenses. The timing was so perfect it felt scripted. Vanessa, my brother Derek started, his voice carrying that familiar tone of weak protest that never quite landed. No, Derek. I'm tired of this. Every family gathering, she shows up here with her sob stories. Oh, my art doesn't sell. Oh, galleries don't understand my vision. Meanwhile, we're working ourselves to death to maintain this lifestyle. She gestured around their dining room like she was showcasing Versailles instead of a suburban McMansion in Plano, Texas. I pulled out my phone, glancing at Martin's text, confirming you are canceling the monthly $15K transfer to their account. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. $15,000 a month for 3 years. $180,000 a year. $500,000 total, all funneled through a trust our grandmother had supposedly left for Derek, a trust that had actually been empty when she died, leaving only her antique jewelry and a letter explaining why she disinherited him. Sophie makes art, my mother said quietly from the end of the table, her voice trembling. She knew. Of course she knew. Mothers always know. Finger paintings aren't art, Vanessa scoffed, refilling her glass with the Camus Cabernet I'd brought. My 5-year-old could do what she does. Your 5-year-old is remarkably talented then, I said calmly. One of my finger paintings just sold to the Museum of Modern Art for $2.3 million. The silence was deafening. Even the kids at the children's table seemed to pause their chatter. Vanessa laughed, that sharp, bitter sound that had grated on me since Derek first brought her home 10 years ago. Right. And I'm married to a secret billionaire. No, I said, taking a sip of water. You're married to a regional sales manager who makes $73,000 a year before taxes. Hardly billionaire territory. Derek's face flushed. How do you, Sophie, that's not. Isn't it, though? I set down my glass carefully. Or did you get a raise from Technotron Industries recently? Strange, considering they've been laying people off for the past 6 months. Have you been spying on us? Vanessa's voice pitched higher, her perfectly contoured face starting to crack. No. I've been paying your mortgage. There's a difference. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my gallery director, Amelie. The Sotheby's auction estimate just came in. Your series could go for 8 to 10 million. Champagne? I typed back, later. In the middle of a family revelation. What are you talking about? Derek stood up, his chair scraping against their hardwood floors. Brazilian cherry, if I recalled the invoice correctly. Should I start with the mortgage? The car payments? Private school tuition for both kids? Or should we jump straight to the fertility treatments that insurance wouldn't cover? My mother gasped. My father, who'd been silently carving turkey for the past 10 minutes, set down the knife. You're delusional, Vanessa spat, but her hands were shaking now. Derek's trust fund from Grandma didn't exist. I pulled up my banking app, 3 years of transfers clearly visible. Grandma left Derek nothing. She left me everything, her entire estate, including her investment portfolio. About $12 million after taxes. That's impossible, Derek whispered. Is it? Remember the summer you stole her social security checks to buy that motorcycle? Or when you convinced her to mortgage her house for your sure-thing business venture? She remembered. She also wrote it all down in a lovely letter that came with the will. I scrolled through my phone, finding the photographed letter. Would you like me to read it? It's quite colorful. Grandma had strong opinions about Vanessa, too. You've been lying to us for 3 years? Derek's voice cracked like we were teenagers again, like when I used to cover for him when he snuck out, took the blame when he broke Mom's china, gave him my babysitting money when he needed gas. No. I've been loving you for 3 years. Despite everything. I looked at my niece and nephew, watching wide-eyed from the kids' table. I've been making sure Emma and Ethan had everything they needed. Dance lessons, soccer camp, that specialized tutor for Emma's dyslexia that you couldn't afford. How dare you, Vanessa started. How dare I what? Love my brother's children? Ensure they had opportunities? Pay for the roof over their heads. I laughed, but it came out sadder than I intended. Do you know what I told myself? They'll figure it out eventually. They'll be grateful. Maybe even love me back. We do love you, Derek said weakly. No. You love Grandma's trust fund. You love the mysterious monthly deposits. You love the safety net you thought you earned by being born with a Y chromosome. I stood up, suddenly exhausted. But you don't love me. If you did, your wife wouldn't feel comfortable calling me a beggar at your table. A table I paid for, by the way. Receipt dated June 15, 2021. Restoration hardware. $6,300. Stop it, Vanessa hissed. Stop listing prices like some kind of accountant? Benefactor? ATM? I offered. What would you prefer I call myself? My phone rang. Amelie again. This time I answered, putting her on speaker. Sophie, darling, I'm sorry to interrupt your holiday. But the buyer from Hong Kong wants to know if you accept 4 million for echoes of silence right now. Cash deal, no auction wait. Tell them 4.5 or they can wait for Sotheby's, I said, watching my family's faces transform like a time-lapse of erosion. Done. I'll send the contracts tonight. Oh, and the Guggenheim called about the retrospective. They're offering the entire third floor for next spring. We'll discuss it Monday. Happy Thanksgiving, Amelie. Happy Thanksgiving, darling. Try not to murder your family. I hung up. The silence stretched like taffy. Derek couldn't finish. Successful? Rich? The artist you all mocked for 15 years? I gathered my things. Yes. All of the above. And tired. So very tired of pretending to be less than I am to make you comfortable. Why? It was my mother who asked, tears streaming down her face. Why did you hide this? Because the last time I had any success, that small gallery show in college, Derek accused me of thinking I was better than everyone. Vanessa made snide comments about arty types for months. Dad asked if I was still playing with paint at Christmas. I looked at each of them. I learned to hide. To help quietly. To love from a distance. We would have been happy for you, my father said gruffly. Would you? Or would you have done what you're doing now, staring at me like I'm a stranger? At least when you thought I was a failure, you invited me to dinner. That's not fair, Vanessa protested. Fair? I pulled up my bank statements. 3 years. 36 months. $540,000. Plus the emergency payments. New roof, $40,000. Vanessa's mother's cancer treatment, $120,000. Derek's gambling debts, Sophie. Derek shouted. $75,000. Should I continue? There's the boat you couldn't afford, the timeshares you never use, stop. Vanessa had gone pale. Please stop. Why? You didn't stop. Every family gathering, every birthday, every holiday, you took your shots. Sophie the dreamer. Sophie the failure. Sophie the mooch. All while cashing checks I wrote. Emma, my 12-year-old niece, left the kids' table and walked over to me. Aunt Sophie? Are you really famous? I knelt down to her level. I'm really good at what I do, sweetheart. Some people think that makes me famous. Vanessa said you were jealous of us. That you came here for free food. My heart broke a little more. What do you think? She looked at her parents, then back at me. I think you paid for my dance classes. Mom said the studio made a mistake, but they knew my name. They said a Sophie Laurent had set up an account. You knew? Vanessa gasped. I'm 12, not stupid, Emma said with preteen disdain. Also, Aunt Sophie's painting is in my textbook. The one about modern American artists. I hugged her tight, then stood. Martin's waiting for my answer. Do I continue the transfers? Yes, Derek said immediately. Sophie, please. The kids. We'll be fine. I've set up education trusts for both of them. Full ride through graduate school if they want it. That won't change. I looked at Vanessa. But you too? You're about to learn what it's like to live on $73,000 a year. Like normal people. Like moochers do. You can't, Vanessa whispered. The mortgage is in your name. As is the car loan, the credit cards, everything else you've racked up assuming the magic money fountain would never dry up. I texted Martin, cancel all transfers. Immediately. His response was instant, done. And Sophie? Good for you. This is cruel, Derek said. You're punishing us for what? Calling me names? Treating me like a failure? Making me doubt myself for years? I shook my head. No. I'm setting boundaries. Something I should have done years ago. Sophie. My mother stood, reaching for me. Don't leave like this. How should I leave, Mom? Quietly, like I always do. Apologizing for existing? Promising to try harder? I kissed her cheek. I love you. But I'm done shrinking myself to fit in this family. What about Christmas? Dad asked. I'll be in Paris. The Musée d'Orsay is doing an exhibition. I headed for the door, then paused. Oh, Vanessa? You might want to call your mortgage company Monday. The automatic payment won't process. You're really going to make us lose our house? I turned back one last time. No. You're going to make you lose your house. I'm just no longer preventing it. Sophie. Derek called after me. What about the kids? The kids have trust funds. College, graduate school, a down payment on their first homes. All protected, all managed by Martin, not you. I looked him in the eye. I may be done enabling you, but I'll never stop loving them. Outside, the Texas evening was crisp and clear. My Tesla, the one Vanessa always sneered at as trying too hard, waited in the driveway. I sat in the driver's seat for a moment, processing. My phone exploded with texts. Mom, please come back. Dad, that was uncalled for. Derek, how could you? Vanessa, you're a monster. But then, one that made me smile. Emma, Aunt Sophie, can I see your studio sometime? I want to be an artist like you. I texted back, anytime, sweetheart. Art is about truth, and today you saw what that really means. As I drove away from the house I'd paid for, from the family I'd supported, from the life I'd subsidized while being treated like a burden, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years, free. The radio played softly, and I laughed when I recognized the song, Money, by Pink Floyd. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor. My phone rang. Martin. So, how did it go? About as well as expected. Vanessa called me a monster. The same Vanessa who spent $8,000 at Neiman Marcus last month? The very same. He sighed. You did the right thing, Sophie. You can't buy their love or respect. I know. I wanted to help. I wanted them to be comfortable. There's a difference between helping and enabling. You crossed that line about 2 years and 11 months ago. Why didn't you say something? I did. Repeatedly. You said, they're family. They are family. No, Martin said gently. They're relatives. Family doesn't treat you like an ATM while calling you a failure to your face. He was right. I knew he was right. It didn't make it hurt less. The children's trusts are safe? I asked. Ironclad. Derek and Vanessa can't touch them. The kids will be fine, Sophie. Better than fine. Good. I merged onto the highway, heading toward my real home, the converted warehouse where I painted, lived, and built a life they'd never bothered to understand. Hey, Martin. Yeah? Increase the kids' trusts by the amount I was giving Derek and Vanessa. If their parents are going to struggle, they'll need it. He laughed. There's the Sophie I know. Heart of gold, even when they don't deserve it. The kids deserve it. They didn't choose their parents. No, but their parents chose their path. Let them walk it. After we hung up, I drove in silence for a while. Then my phone buzzed with an Instagram notification. Emma had tagged me in a post, a photo of one of my paintings from her textbook with the caption, My aunt is Sophie Laurent. Yes, the Sophie Laurent. And she's the kindest person I know, even when we don't deserve it. Hashtag proud niece, hashtag art is life, hashtag truth hurts. The comments were already flooding in from her friends. OMG, your aunt is famous. Can she teach us? Why is your mom crying in the background? I smiled despite everything. Maybe I'd lost some relatives today, but it seemed I'd gained something else, the truth. And Emma, at least, understood that was worth more than any monthly transfer. My phone rang again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. Hello? Sophie? This is Harold Winters from The Times. We're doing a piece on artists who support their families while building their careers. Someone sent us a rather interesting recording from a Thanksgiving dinner. Would you like to comment? I thought about it for a moment. The old Sophie would have demurred, would have protected them even now. But the old Sophie had died somewhere between the appetizers and Vanessa's sneering dismissal. You know what, Harold? I would love to comment. How about we discuss it over coffee Monday? I have quite a story about the real cost of success and the price of family silence. Looking forward to it. Oh, and Sophie? That piece the MoMA acquired? Stunning. My wife cried when she saw it. Thank you. It's called The Weight of Unspoken Things. Seemed appropriate, don't you think? He laughed. More than you know. See you Monday. As I pulled into my driveway, I saw my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, watering her garden despite the evening hour. Sophie. Happy Thanksgiving. How was dinner with your family? I considered the question. Expensive, I said finally. But worth every penny. She looked confused but smiled anyway. Well, there's always Christmas. No, I said, getting out of my car. I think I'll spend Christmas with people who actually like me. Novel concept, I know. Inside my warehouse, my paintings waited, massive canvases full of color and pain and truth. The very paintings Vanessa had mocked, Derek had dismissed, my parents had tolerated. The paintings that now hung in museums and private collections around the world. I poured myself a glass of wine, good wine, not the grocery store bottle Vanessa served while pocketing the camus I brought, and stood before my latest piece. It was unfinished, like most family stories, but tonight I knew how to complete it. As I picked up my brush, my phone buzzed one last time. Martin again, transfers cancelled. All of them. You're free, Sophie. Free. Such a small word for such a big feeling. I painted until dawn, pouring 3 years of silence and swallowed pride onto the canvas. When I finally stepped back I saw it clearly, a family dinner table where one chair remained empty not because they forgot to set a place, but because the person who'd paid for every plate had finally learned she deserved better than crumbs. I'd call it the moocher's revenge. Or maybe just truth. Either way, it would sell for millions. And this time, every penny would be mine.